Welcome to the Friday close. Remember that this weekend is one of your last opportunities for the next couple of days. You pretty much have your last opportunity to get those courses for 90% off, $100 for the indicators course, the course that will really teach you about these weekly ranges and how to trade around them. Looking at the SPY right now, you notice I'm on a 15-minute chart. What I still want to pay attention to is that 2-hour able to curl up early next week. That's something important. That 30-minute crosses up, then we have a pretty good shot to see upward price action. Now we have to be worried about upward price action because we do have rigged moves here. Okay, I want to state this a few times during this last hour of the week. We do have some rigged things happening for us. Rigged things meaning there looks like there could be some insider selling behind the curtain that hasn't hit the tape yet. We're noticing that the dollar is starting to scale up dramatically, cross up on the daily scale. And this is something to pay attention to because we also have the dollar scaling up. We have the SPY up 0.41 right now, and we have a PCC of 0.69. So I would be watching out for what's about to come around the corner, and something to pay attention to is if volatility starts to turn up as well. Looking at this from the 30-minute perspective, you'll notice that it is starting to roll down, kind of confirmed a divergence up at first. So that's why I was paying attention to it. But as of right now, we know that they are setting some kind of trap. All right. Miguel feels it. They're setting some kind of trap out there. That's what we can notice from this type of price action. We have the VIX creating a triple divergence here on the 30-minute. We'll see if that proves to turn up. The 2-hour could turn up at any moment here, and that will be your first sign that, hey, the daily can start to react from around that 200 and that 50 at that point. Now, if this starts to break down, we see that dollar drop off and all this goes away, hey, we're going to see this close below the 200, and maybe we continue that squeeze. But I would be very, very worried and thinking to yourself very hard, why would this dollar randomly be going up all of a sudden? Well, most of the time we think of it very simply and say people are moving into cash, which means they are moving out of assets. And those assets could look a little bit like the Dow, and the Dow up here showing a divergence that could be completing soon if we get some kind of more selling on the daily scale. But we just go into things like the 2-hour, we see all the rejection divergences. Yes, there can be another 30-minute move up. We talk about that all the time. You can get closer and closer and closer to that center line. Even one more blip like this would trap a lot of people before we could see some sort of downturn. Now we are heading into, let's think of what we're heading into next week. We have a shortened trading week. So are they going to use that low volume to keep pumping stocks up? Well, I am still, to this point, open to this 2-hour turning up into positive territory and creating the overall big trap. I think the biggest trap that they could set is next week we go up to a weekly range, and that is right up in this area. I think this is what we really have to pay attention to. Make sure that you, if you've been here for a little while or if you've been here for a short while, something that we do on Patreon is give you weekly expected moves for every stock that we cover on this channel. We give you those monthly moves as well. It is a great time to join. It will cost you pretty much a cup of coffee every single month to get those, but just a cup of coffee a month and you can have a tool that not a lot of other traders use, and I can guarantee you it'll make you very, very good if you're able to trade around them. And if you don't know how to trade around these monthly moves, these weekly moves, or anything like that, the course is down in the description. The technical indicators course for $100. It is the last time you will be able to get that for that price point. So I highly encourage, if you are wanting to learn, to look into that. If you've already got a good hang on things, then just hang out, like the videos, and talk to me about some stocks. I'm down. 2-hour curls up. Watch out for a divergence. Those like to roll over daily charts. That's why I'm paying attention to the Dow. The Dow has it. It's rejecting. All right, we're not seeing confirmed bullishness from the Dow. We're seeing this get overzealous to the upside, and that can lead to a further downturn. So that's what I'm paying attention to. YS, thank you so much for joining this afternoon. I got $40 puts on a firm, I'm guessing you're thinking. Jay, is it a firm? Because a fam might be something a little bit different. A fam is what I got upstairs. A family. Another couple other things that I'm looking for still, if Nvidia can turn up a 2-hour chart, pretty much Amazon is curling up a 2-hour chart. That thing said go, and it's going. So that would lead us to believe some positivity can be there. AMD on a 2-hour chart, you're pretty much looking for the 2-hour swing trade across the board. And for a firm, this one's going to be interesting because that is a massive upward move. So if you're going to short something that just saw a massive upward move, okay, that's fine. I get it. Just understand what you're getting into with this. This has chosen a direction for now. So this does not have to pull all the way down like this. This can easily just consolidate sideways, get down by that center line for the 30-minute, and then cross up into positive territory, J. So that's what I'd be really paying attention to. And just note that as these dailies start to really gain some steam, this is what daily momentum gets you. And now, I mean, it would make sense for you to pull down and then curl back up, right? It would make sense. But as you're not seeing any reversal signals yet, you more want to see like, oh, this 30-minute curled down, curled back up, and then you see a look like that. That's more what I want to look for. So to say like any trade is safe in this, I think no trade is really safe in this. I don't think you have a trade set up here for either direction at this moment. As amended application that could bring 24/7 trading to crypto ETFs. That would be interesting. As we go over and look at GME, look at that thing popping off. Where's it going to run into trouble? Right around our red line. That's where it's going to run into trouble this week. Because it's happening on a Friday, I'm not too happy about it, right? Because it's happening on a Friday. Big move on a Friday. Okay, awesome. We curled up this daily chart. That is a fantastic sign. It really is a fantastic sign. This is the type of signal that you want to see. But you want to see this signal doing that on a Monday, and then they can't do some weird things, or they don't want to do, or they don't have to do weird things around it. Because on a Friday, they're going to try to clamp down on this. They don't, the market maker being the market maker and the short sellers, they don't want to lose a bunch of money on this. So this is a rapid move. I don't think people saw it coming. And if they wanted to hold it below a key level, they still expect this. This is still expected. You want something unexpected to happen. You want to get through that early on in the week, Josh. So for GameStop at this moment, I love the look. I love this. I love this, how it's getting closer to that center line. I think it's fantastic. The only thing you have to look out for is earnings, which got moved to September 10th. So that's something to pay attention to. If they wanted to, on the 30-minute, you can really see how that thing hasn't really pulled back, and you're creating a divergence on the RSI. Okay, so you do have a little tiny divergence right here that's starting to turn a little bit, right? You see that starting to point down just a little bit. That can be enough to pull you further back, and then we'll see if that can base out maybe sometime later next week. But this, I mean, it's that or daily momentum's taking over, by the way. I don't want to, discredit daily momentum. Daily momentum is a lot stronger than 30-minute. I'm just saying if it needs to reload and then get some good news later on, that would be the type of look. Why is my voice cracking all the time? And why does Google look like it has a reversal signal on the 30-minute? That could turn up a 2-hour chart, right? I was paying attention to this a little bit during my day. We might have to put some mayo on it. I think they want it open 24/7. I don't think you want the market open 24/7. That means they'll be able to mess with the market all the time. If the market is open 24/7, then all the tomfoolery that you see during market hours, now that can be extended into the post-market, pre-market, all time. I don't think I would want that, but there's arguments to say it could be beneficial, right? You could say that could be beneficial. The fact that you can't be, you can react to moves that are happening, say with earnings after hours and things like that. I think it would be in some way, a lot of the time, if it's like, oh, this would be good for retail. If they say it's good for retail, it's probably not, right? Google giving a nice signal here for that divergence, though. You see that down at the lows. We see that come to the upward side. We see a major move up for the RSI. This is a great signal, and it looks like that 2-hour could turn up. Traders will die of lack of sleep. Yeah. Let's go check out what AMC is doing, trying to curl down on a 30-minute chart. So we'll see what happens with this going forward. You still need daily momentum with it, right? So GameStop turning up is great, but it's not turning into something good for AMC yet. You still need to see that little moment higher. This goes into November. Gold was one thing I was paying close attention to, seeing if this could curl over on the daily, and it did. So with that dollar pumping dramatically, gold is something I'm thinking of actually going to the short side on as of right now, seeing a bunch of these 2-hour signals today, getting that rejection, and then boom, we start to head to the downside. Something different is happening here, so I'm paying attention to it. That's all I could say about this. It looks like some kind of at least daily pullback is going to happen, right? Maybe down towards a price point of 224 to 220. I like that area. And then from there, we'll see if that can make another push higher if that dollar is going to back off. But something to understand with gold, if you haven't traded gold before, if you are trading gold, a lot of the time you want to watch the dollar. When the dollar starts to pump, gold usually starts to suffer a little bit. People coming out of assets, one of those being gold. The dollar and gold kind of are in some way correlated negatively, so we have to pay attention to that, and I think gold looks like a decent play. But gold's been seeing some rip around moves, so it's kind of like, you know, gold's one that's like, it gaps up one day, gaps down the next. Rise into next week and up into earnings. I think that would make sense with the look of GameStop at this moment, curling up on the daily, going up about what, 25% in like 25, 30, wait, 25%, 20% or something like that from the low down here. Nope, 20%, about 18. What day is earnings for GameStop? For GameStop, it's September 10th. So even though on GameStop it says, you know, September 4th right here, they updated and said September 10th. You can see it right here. GameStop experiencing this, blah, blah, announced the termination, blah, blah. If you open more news, it'll show you those articles. Is it being manipulated? Well, the put-call ratio is extremely low right now. And I wouldn't say it's being manipulated. I would say, if anything, this is people getting euphoric to the upside right before a good signal, and I'm fine with that. I just think that at the end of the day, this will end up being a trap, because according to the PCC being low, the dollar being high, and the market being high, it leads me to believe there is some kind of trap taking place at this moment. The question is this trap going to extend? Do they want to trap people harder, right? And that's kind of what I'm paying attention to. I think that the biggest way for the most people to lose the most amount of money is you do that and then you flash crash it. That's what I think. Can we actually get a move? Yeah, we'll see, you know. I mean, I'm sure this thing has been pretty annoying for everyone, but this is just sideways price action. As traders, a lot of traders don't like sideways price action. Does the VIX control the market, or vice versa? Well, you would say that people have to do things in the market to make the VIX move. So you would more so say it depends on what the market is doing in order for the volatility to move, right? So that, and that's a good way to put it too. Which one controls which? For the most part, I would say the market controls volatility, because as volatility does rise, you don't have to see downturns. Right? So if volatility was controlling the market, that would tell me, okay, volatility goes up, market goes down. That's not the case a lot of the time. Some of the time you'll see a rapid move up and see volatility go up, meaning that rapid move up, it means that you're going to see more rip around type moves. So I'd more so say that the market itself will decide for volatility. But that's my take on it. Monday crash, it is definitely possible, Luis. It is definitely possible with this kind of look, with this kind of, you know, trap, I would say, people getting trapped in calls before a weekend, and you do have a look from volatility from this 2-hour that says it could turn up, but not necessarily the 2-hour that looks like the main signal to watch. I'd be looking at this 30-minute. If that thing sees a reaction by the end of the day, we'll watch this a little bit. But if we start to see this double bottom out, kind of like this, and we start to see that, I'd be a little bit cautious going into next week. But the only thing about next week that's kind of like interesting, and why they could shoot the market higher for a day or two before we get some key data or something like that, is just because it is a shortened trading week. Yeah, Tuesday crash. Sorry, yeah, Tuesday. I was just about to mention it's a shortened trading week, but so, oh man. I wish, oh man. See, if I didn't, That's sometimes the bummer. If I didn't have my baby girl, I'd be going to the lake this weekend. Labor Day for the lake is so fun. It's like the last party time. What else was someone talking about? Bitcoin, that's what I wanted to look at. I wanted to look at what Bitcoin was doing. Something interesting here was it has structure to head down. It actually does, even on this little 30-minute, you see this little structure. That does make sense. Let's see that 2-hour trying to rotate down. If this rotates back up, you have a massive divergence, all right? You have this going on while that is going on. If this can see a strong move like that, you have a good shot to actually go higher than here. You're remaining in a channel for right now from what I'm seeing. So I'm paying attention to that for the most part, looking like some kind of channel. So this is a slight reversal signal you can pay attention to, but as it keeps crashing down and down, 4-hour can see a reaction. We'll see if that rolls back down into negative territory. Did the daily do so? Daily crossed. Okay, so that's one thing. It's like, okay, so you can pay attention to two things at once. Yes, the 2-hour has a possible good signal, but is that a good thing to really get into if we're going to cross down on a daily MACD into negative territory? No, I don't take calls. I don't buy something that just crossed down on its daily MACD. If it crosses down on this daily MACD, what does that mean? Well, we created a divergence between these lows. What if you reach down a little bit deeper into this zone here, actually get some closing bars down there, and you do this, and then and maybe that's quick, right? And you create some other divergence. What if you don't create that and it just stays in the downtrend? So as of right now, the daily crossing over would tell you, hey, the highest time frame is what I should pay attention to the most because that has the most price action behind it. So I think we got to see if that daily is going to add up to, hey, this is breaking to the downside, and we could see further downside to test something like 48,000 to about 52.5K. I think the insiders have already been selling. I think the insiders have already been selling for the last 3 days. And remember that the dollar bottoms before the market overall tops. And what are you noticing? The market is struggling to make the next upward move and really showing like, hey, we could have some kind of double top up here if this just goes bloop. So if we roll down next week or something, that would not be good. I still think you have the opportunity to get a bigger trap like this. But as of right now, the dollar has bottomed and the SPY has not fully topped yet. We haven't seen the signals to tell us like, yeah, this is topped. Ooh, daily on NVIDIA. Daily on NVIDIA still crossing, so I take that for what it is. I say, hey, I'm never going to take calls on a stock that has crossed down on its MACD. That is not what I am doing. So that would tell me something here. Well, maybe it's because GameStop's about to see that big pop and NVIDIA is going to suffer, right? We know these are somewhat correlated. So we can pay attention to that. But for the most part, you just want to say, this is one of my rules. If we cross over on a daily MACD, I don't give a crap where it is. I'm not taking calls on that, right? I don't care if it's all the way up here. I don't care if it's here. I don't care if it's crossing over right here. This is something that I've put into my trading strategies because it's hurt me before where I see, hey, a 2-hour can rip to the upside, but the daily just crossed. And the way that I made sense of that for myself is, what is stronger? What has more volume behind it? One 2-hour bar that's curling up or one daily bar that is curling down? The daily bar has more volume. It would tell you that overall on the daily scale, more sellers came in. Even though on the 2-hour, you might have seen some buyers come in throughout the day. Well, throughout that whole day where those buyers slightly came in, the daily was able to cross down. So that's how I take it. Tesla seeing a pretty decent move up. This is another take of that daily has crossed down and this 2-hour is crossing up, right? So the 2-hour is saying, hey, upside potential, but the daily is saying, hey, bad things can happen. And at the same time, this is where you just say risk to reward, right? Is this trade risky, right? Is a trade to the upside on any stock risky? Well, if it's curling up on that 2-hour, that does say, hey, things can be dandy. Things can go up from here. But you're noticing that Tesla has curled down on a daily scale just yesterday, and you have the dollar curling up as of right now on the daily scale for the MACD. So those two things alone would tell me, hey, the safer thing to do in this position is what? Maybe sit on the sidelines, maybe still practicing that patience, maybe waiting for some more price action, meaning remaining in cash. Now, why would remaining in cash make total sense here as even an investor? Because cash is going up in value right now. Cash is saying, hey, I'm going up in value. Maybe I go up to this point, and then you can look at what things are setting up for divergences on a 2-hour. You can look at what things are setting up for divergences on a 4-hour. We can look at what things are setting up for in the overall market if we're seeing reversal signals there. All right, so that's more what I'm getting at. I think that over the weekend, that cash curling up on that MACD tells me, hey, cash just turned up on its MACD. So holding cash does not sound dumb to me. That's my plan. My plan is to slightly sit on the sidelines, maybe look at a possible entry into a gold short position. But we shall see. Oil really dropping off here. Something to quickly pay attention to is if this daily crosses, that's bad. If it curls right back up, that could be a good sign for the for oil. So if this curls down like this briefly and curls right back up, you'd have another point of divergence here. So just pay attention to that for oil. All right, let's go. The other thing that I was really interested in was the housing sector, showing that it wants to curl up. Still got to pay attention if that daily curls down at any point. But this one is more of a, if the 2-hour curls up, we could see more of the trap as well. This is kind of why I'm leaning towards a trap to the upside like this. I think that would make sense because everyone's going to be saying cup and handle. And then if we get a trap up in this area, that could be a big deal as that dollar is scaling up. So, but it's pretty nice because we called the bottom for the dollar. We said that was bottoming out, possibly going to make a double bottom. It did. That's awesome. Now we see people getting overzealous to the call side, and we also see the SPY still remaining kind of struggling. So we'll see if another upward move can come next week to trap people further. When does the sale on the course end? It's going to be Monday. It's technically, it says August 31st, I think, down in the description. But the course itself, I like to leave it over the weekend. I like to leave it up and in case people have questions that they want to bring to the live video on Monday. So it will be up until Monday. Oh, how can you short Bitcoin? Something like BITO or something like that, right? Pro Share Strategy ETF, this one here. You can do stuff on this. I've used it before. And they're like Biddy. This is the short Bitcoin ETF. So if you think Bitcoin's going to make a dramatic downward move, something like Biddy. Is it a good time? I think you're kind of at a 50-50 spot, actually. Even though that daily is curling down, you do have reversal signals popping up here on the 2-hour. It just tells me, hey, this could kind of go either way, depending on the signals. If I want to trade it, manage the trade pretty closely. But overall, I would just say, you know, what's the least risky thing for me to do? It's kind of like, hey, let me just sit on the sideline. Cash is going up in value, so sitting on cash doesn't sound like a bad thing. It still could. NVIDIA still could. NVIDIA could make that move. You know, what's it saying? A lot of so-called pro investors are saying that NVIDIA could end the year up over 140. Yeah, if we don't fully get anything bad, this is kind of what we were talking about this morning. It looks like we need to pay attention to the next 2 weeks. We need to pay attention to September 6th. If nothing bad happens there and we see some things turn back up and that's all good, that's fantastic. That's fine. You've bought yourself a little time and you could end up going higher into that period between January and March. All right, and then you have to pay attention to that time frame. Then after that, you want to look at the sell in May and go away type thing. And then after that, if we keep going higher, then you want to pay attention to October of next year. I think this will come to an abrupt halt. I think you have a higher likelihood for us to turn down over the next 2 weeks than you have the likelihood to end up having to turn down a year from now. That's what I think. But it doesn't matter what I think. I just follow the signals. That's all I'm doing here. The dollar's bottoming, so I'm paying attention. People are trapped to the call side as of right now. And that's what I got to say about that. 21st will be your birthday, so hopefully GME and AMC will give me an early birthday present. I'm praying for you, Josh. I got you, bud. Luis, thank you so much for the $3. Their first super on the live stream. Thank you, Luis. Thank you so much. So yeah, we'll just pay attention to what's going on towards the end of the day. She just grabbed something. There it is. Thank you so much for the $3 donation, and thank you for asking your question. I appreciate questions. Why would you buy the VIX over the long weekend? I'm not necessarily buying the VIX just yet. I still have my longer dated out option. I'm just thinking of if I scale in, now would be a good time. But I'm starting to create a actual new position, because last time that was just like, it's a hedge that's starting to run out of time. Yeah, I'm more leaning towards, a lot of the shorter weeks will lean towards bullishness with the short volume. Yeah, so I'm still looking for the position. I'm looking for things to really confirm. When I will buy volatility is when I see this daily cross up, or I see the SPY cross down on this daily. All right, that's when I will start to buy that volatility. And I'll probably start to buy it actually if I see this 2-hour signal. That's when I'm going to buy it the most. Because look at that. This is what we've been waiting for. Curl up, get by that center line, curl up on the MACD. Ooh, crosses up, makes this type of move, goes to a weekly range early on in the week, and then later on in the week we get jobs data. So this is more when I'm thinking of buying volatility, not right now. Doesn't mean for the weekend I can't take a small position just in case with that dollar signal I'm seeing. Doesn't mean I can't take a smaller position. I'm mostly going to sit in cash. But I can start to form that position if I want, Joe. You know what I mean? But I'm still going to wait, because for the bigger position, to actually make it a full-size position, I'm going to wait. If something bad doesn't happen over the weekend, okay, I can manage the trade, and then I can maybe take the trade up, take that, and then sell at a weekly expected move, see this type of reversal signal. If that proves itself, I will be buying volatility there. Yeah, hopefully it's helpful. Apple still showing that reversal signal as of right now. It has confirmed. Looks like it's trying to curl up one more time on the shorter time frames. Look at that 30-minute, really close to the center line. There was not really the best reversal signal here for the 30-minute. So even this is saying, even Apple's saying, hey, I have a chance to go do something like this, and then we'll see what happens. NVIDIA 30-minute, pretty deep into negative territory. No reversal signals there. Yeah, Joe, it's kind of like, I'm going to take a small position just in case with the signals I'm seeing, nothing that can really beat me up. And then if I see that move higher, I'll have a longer out expiration. So then I can actually turn it into a full position at that point to take a real trade, I would say. So thank you for the question. I really do appreciate it. It's awesome. Love, love, love me some questions. So now is when I want to pay attention to the volatility on the 30-minute, seeing that you see these downward moves. Now we're tapering a little bit more. So even on the 30-minute, I can pay attention to a little signal like that, see if this 2-hour can confirm back up. Because now we're seeing this, it's kind of getting rid of the divergence points on the 2-hour. You see the divergence points getting violated. So that's not the best signal in the world. That's actually saying more downside or more upside in the market is still likely. Qs, have they confirmed up on a 2-hour yet? No, they have not, but it looks like they are trying to. Alrighty, let's get set up. DJT does look a little bit bad here. The only signal that I'm still paying attention to is that 2-hour signal. Look how close that is. this is kind of why I'm worried about next week. You got some signals from a lot of these stocks that potentially have short seller problems in them. DJT does have a short seller problem in it, just not as bad as something like GameStop or AMC, but it is showing this reversal signal right before the weekend. So that is interesting. The reason I'm paying attention to that is because the daily scale has a pretty much triple divergence at this point down here on the MACD and the RSI at the same time. So weirdly enough, if that can get a little bounce here, you might have a big amount of momentum going up to test a 20 or maybe top Bollinger towards that 50, right? Something towards $28 would make sense, I think. But that could take some time to play out. So yes, it is dying off fast. It's getting towards the zone that we created a long time ago. If you didn't know, when this thing first popped off, people said, where do you think it would go back to if it's going to fall down? And I said, well, this zone is where I would think about buying it. And now we're finally getting back down towards that zone. So this is where I said I would actually start to pay attention to it. And that's facts. I've actually been paying attention to it a lot off stream. This live could be a video course. Well, that's the point. I mean, I want people to take the course if they need some real big clarity. There was someone, there's been a few people who have said, hey, I've really just watched the videos and it allowed me to learn. And I think that's fantastic. That's the overall goal here, is just to let people learn, let retail traders win for once. That's the overall goal here. It's not, you know, let's put every single thing behind a paywall. I think that overall, it's like, if you really want to learn it, the course is going to benefit you. But if you want to sit and watch for a year and keep looking at these videos and try to piece it together, and then if you're still having problems, the course is still there for you. But if you're actually doing better, then that's awesome. That's the goal here, is to make it better for you. Hey Luke, my question for the triple divergence continues. I found one on ALNY. Let's go look at that real quick. Triple divergence on the 2-hour is playing out here. What I would really look for is that daily turning down too. I really like this look already. I want to see if the shorter time frames gave me any hints here. Not really. Yeah, not really. Very flatness here on the MACD. So not really the best bank for when that was going to actually drop off. As we look at the daily scale, that is looking pretty weak in this area. We got to look, you know, it could take some time, but you would say with that daily crossover, it would most likely mean over the next 2 weeks, you will hit lower prices, maybe down towards that 233.80. I actually got told that I should go into psychology when I was in college, or I mean, when I was in high school. Most of my teachers were calling my parents saying that I should be I don't know, be something to do with psychology and philosophy. That's what I really, really liked. Best one to buy with the VIX. I mean, I like to use UVXY, but that thing is leveraged. So this one here, it's like if you're going to do something with this, you'll notice that it can see massive moves when volatility really rips up. So I like this one. Do I hold it throughout these massive moves? No. When I actually bought it, it was down at these levels. I think I sold somewhere in here, like around 33 or 35, right in there. And then the next day I could have made, I think I made 400%. And then the next day I could have made 4,000, and that was kind of a bummer. But people like to do VIXy. People pay attention to this guy, right? UVIX. These type of things. There's a ton of them. I would just do some research over the weekend if you're still looking for that, but I like UVXY. People like VIXy, UVIX, VXX. There you go, Sid. There's a bunch of them. You just got to see like how you want to be leveraged, because they are leveraged ETFs. FNGR. Yeah, I think we looked at this a little bit this morning, and throughout this week, I think we looked at this a little bit. Daily crossing up with divergence. Great look there. Fantastic price point, 182. Then we go up into positive. God, it's fantastic. That looks great. As we see that big move up, you always got to say, are we going to experience a 2-hour pullback at some point? And that's what it looks like at this moment. So if you're going to see a big move, you're going to see that 2-hour cross up and see good things, most likely. Maybe you could milk that down into an hourly, as that's still close to the center line. If that crosses up, you can see good things. But Unfortunate if this would like gap higher on Monday, but that's kind of what you're going with at this point, an hourly swing trade by the center line. I don't mind the look. Let's look at the Qs, see if they're able to confirm the 2-hour cross at the end of today. I know that this last 2-hour of the day literally only has like 30 minutes in it or something, but I'm gonna take it for what it's worth. Oh man, my wifey's not feeling too good today, so we're having a chill day. It's kind of gloomy out there today. But I have some cool things planned. Because of the signals we are seeing, I'm going to be able to make a great macro video tomorrow. So please turn those notifications on and make sure you're subscribed. And yeah, I think this weekend I always like to say, you know, have fun with family and make sure to put aside some time for that. Yes. But I think also this weekend, going over those signals is a good idea, just to have it in your brain in case something bad happens early on next week. I think it will leak into September 6th, but the signals I'm seeing now say it could pop off a little bit sooner. We'll see if these things start to confirm up. But you'd have to say, if people wanted to get trapped, if they wanted to set a trap, it's pretty set, and they didn't have to make the price action go up too high for that, right? UVIX, there you go. UVIX is a good one. But right here, there's already tons of calls coming in. The dollar has already bottomed. The only thing that hasn't happened is volatility hasn't fully turned up, and the SPY or even the Dow hasn't fully turned down, right? We're still seeing the potential for another 30-minute curl up. So it could just mean the timing is just a tiny bit off here. Gloomy all across the Midwest right now. I didn't even check the weather too much. I was just like, man, it's going to be cloudy all day. I don't mind it. I actually like it because it's like 85 degrees out right now because of that. And then tomorrow will suck because it's going to be super humid and probably like, 95 to 100 degrees. But you got to enjoy it while it lasts. I need to have one more pool day or something like that, Yields, oh, by the way, just so you're aware, these yields could uninvert over the weekend as well. You're sitting at the 2-year at 3.929 up here, and then you have the 10-year at 3.913. Just keep your eye on that as they uninvert. So that could be on the horizon soon. Feels like shorting Goog. I'd be a little bit hesitant with Google just because of one little signal going on here. This 30-minute has confirmed, so you do have the potential to turn up on this 2-hour chart. Now, I understand what you're thinking, right? This looks great. You have a little base down in here. You can come down to that area, maybe bounce up for the big retest, and then get some people trapped and then end up going lower. Like, I see all that. I see the daily scale wanting to turn down a little bit here, but all I'm seeing on this 30-minute is, hey, there could be potential for upside. So if I want to take downside, I need to see that 2-hour maybe pop and drop. Right, it'd be nice. It'd still be fine. It'd just be like, can I get this 2-hour to go like that and then curl down, and then that position might be a little bit better. We could be in that like slanted, overall slanted head and shoulders or something like that. You see that? We could be doing this left head. Look at that reaction, right shoulder, and then we start to break down. Very, very good to pay attention to though, YS, I like it. My TMF got hurt today. Damn it, TMF, you tricky Yeah, looking at this one for the treasuries, right? So wait, does this follow? Okay, daily 20-year treasury bull. Okay, that makes sense. So still looking for that 2-hour curl up. That's never really come, and these 30-minute signals are starting to wear out, right? This is starting to wear out. They're not really showing any reversal anymore. They're getting rid of it. That's why managing the trade is pretty important right here towards 57.20. But yeah, it's turning down, flagging out again. So it looks like the direction for this is down. When I see this, I really like, I like to look at bigger time frames, looking at a daily. Okay, that's crossed over. So what should I think from here? Well, since it's dropping, this could maybe end up down towards 53 before I see a reaction. A sell-off from here will likely generate a short-term buy signal as long as it takes out 56,138 without gapping through there. Oh yeah, people were talking about Bitcoin right away in this afternoon stream. Thank you guys for showing up today. Friday, I know you got a whole weekend planned ahead of you. I still want to see something interesting, which is the Dow. I actually like the Dow. I think that this signal here would be nice, even if you got another little 30-minute curl up. I actually would be fine with a 30-minute curl up, and that would convince me, okay, maybe this is the last trap before we actually pull back down. Now, there is still potential for the 2-hour to continue to cross up and like go positive, continue to squeeze. But for now, I would say the 30-minute rolling up like this and then turning back down looks like a likely scenario at this point. We shall see, my friends. We shall see. All right, something important here. Just watch the cues in these last few minutes here. Let's look at a 5-minute for fun. Notice this, though, we're still not going to a daily expected move. Usually you touch those multiple times throughout the week, and we're not hitting them. I think we have liquidity issues going on. Now, that's a straight up guess, but that's what I would assume, because normally you hit these moves, and the fact that implied volatility increased and we're still sitting in this range, that's very strange. Interesting. And decay in these ones, like even volatility, yes, it does affect it a ton, but if you can do it at the right time, you'll find these little pops. That's what I like to do. I like to do it at the right time, find these little pops. Do it at the right time, find these little pops. And then I did it at the right time here, and I found more than a little pop, and then that ended up keep going, right? Sometimes it's like, okay, sometimes you get lucky. If you're just paying attention to the reversal signals on volatility, you can catch little pops, and every once in a while, you're going to see a big one, right? You don't want to bank on a big one every single time, but yeah, volatility, you can see those bigger moves. If you just pay attention to the signals, every once in a while you'll get lucky. That's kind of how I treat it. SPY's still not wanting to fully give that big bullish move, really. We're ramping up on a 30-minute. That's a good sign. This is a good sign. But all of these could just be building of liquidity, and we're just waiting to break through this way or break through this way. So down here, up here, that's where we need to pay attention. Nvidia not showing very good stuff and very negative on the 30-minute. Q's more of that slant to it. But yeah, if there's a few things to take away for the weekend, it is the dollar has bottomed. A lot of people are towards the call side, and the Dow looks very toppy. What are you guys thinking? Maybe we should do a poll. We do a poll. $24, like, let's try to get that up to 50. We're gonna put a little poll out there. Let's do this. All right, let's just do it this way. With the signals that we're seeing with the dollar bottoming and all that good stuff, do we have a crash coming, we'll say next week? We'll say next Tuesday. We'll say, does that start on Tuesday? How about that? All right, let's see what your guys' sentiment is for this. So the overall thing here is, are we going to experience some kind of crashing due to the dollar turning up, due to the slight, I would say, overbought reversal-like signals that are forming here for the Dow? God, I hope it starts on Tuesday. Just hoping that thing starts to actually come down for once. Yeah, sideways price action can be a bummer sometimes, but we were aware that we were likely to go sideways. You know, we mentioned sideways, sideways, sideways like 100 times in this area, right? We get up to here and we're like, we could either go down or go sideways, and now you see that chop coming in. Which is why, like this chop, you want to say, does the market control volatility or does volatility control the market? Well, this chop caused volatility to remain above its 200 on the daily scale, just so you're aware. Let me get this off of my chat here. How much percentage from here? I think you literally have like a 1% move from this area that we're at as of right now. You have about a 0.72% move to beat that high. So I think we do that. I think we beat the high. I think we really get people euphoric. But would that line up to any kind of bad news? I like that to line up to bad news. So what could actually happen is, since we're on maybe a 2-hour chart or something like that, but let's go into a 30-minute, what could actually happen from here is, what if we actually experience a time where we get a bullish move and then that continues, right? What if we see that flow come in? What if we see and then we curl down and then we curl back up, and then you see this, you see a 30-minute, you see a 2-hour, and then you see a daily all the way across. That would be something we like to call the golden setup, okay? So if you want to learn the golden setup, please go in the description and check out those courses down there. The technical indicators course for $100 will tell you that golden setup. And I can tell you, it's about like 99% of the time that plays out. I think me and Joe are on a pretty similar wavelength here. I think me and Joe are pretty, you know, when you kind of read through the chat, I'm sure you guys read through the chat plenty, but you read through the chat for me, and then I just go, yeah, whatever Joe's saying, I'm kind of vibing with. Paying attention to volatility while also saying, hey, there's the dollar popping, but I think another trap higher would make the most sense. Okay, maybe I just pay attention to it a little bit, look for that pop on Tuesday, and then see what happens. Really? Okay. I'm a student. Yeah, I know. So that makes sense why our thinking's in tune. I like it though. Just like you, you might get some reassurance from me. Hey, I'm getting some from you. You know. I think is that Bank of America? I think Bank of America might be screwed at the end of all this. Like once this market actually does blow up, I think Bank of America is on the papers for most of the problems going on because they're connected to Merrill Lynch and BlackRock. XLU, you're seeing that next move up as well, creating another divergence point. Really paying attention if XLU can, it crossed back up on the daily. Interesting move for XLU there. Oh, yeah, it kind of adds me to believe that trap to the upside is just coming, man. Toby. Gotta tell Toby to stop licking. Yeah, and I think, but does that trap come next week? Because the narrative can completely change after next Friday. I hope you, I just want you to be aware of next Friday. That's jobs data that comes out. And they said they're paying attention to jobs data. So you could be getting that excitement soon, and I think that excitement still needs to show its face a little bit, right? I think it needs to show its face a little bit, but you're getting some of that. And then you want to say, if this makes that extended move higher, then people really believe in that. Then we get some jobs data, watch out below. Or you could experience, maybe it starts to fall now because some people on the inside already know that jobs data is bad. That's what I'd be looking for. I really just want to see if the market goes higher and the dollar continues to go up here. That's what I want to pay attention to early next week. We'll talk about it a lot on Saturday, so tune in for Saturday morning's video. We'll talk a lot about it, but that dollar bottoming does not look like a good sign for things like gold and other assets like the stock market itself. HGX, just one to pay attention to for the housing market, but looking like a cup and handle at this point. We'll see what happens. And if that jobs data is actually good, maybe that fully plays out. Oh, sorry. Is GME really going to close with a 4-hour divergence and a daily? I know. I'm looking at it, man. I'm looking at this and going, damn, this looks like a solid setup, doesn't it? That looks pretty solid. Now, it's only on the MACD for the daily, right? We noticed that it's kind of down for that RSI. So it's only on the MACD for the daily, but this is a great first move. The 4-hour divergence is great here. That actually holds true on the 4-hour. So that 4-hour can really start to go positive here. You're looking like you're gunning up for a big move from GameStop. Opinion on IWM. At this moment, it looks like we're trying to curl down on some bigger time frames, but looking at the 2-hour, if that curls up, good things, right? 2-hour curls up, good things. All right. And then the 30-minute, if that curls up, then the 2-hour is very likely to curl up. So IWM going into next week with these signals, if I just ignore the dollar, I ignore the PCC, I ignore all those things, then what would I say about IWM? I think that if this 30-minute curls up, the 2-hour curls up, and then I'll be looking for it to touch a weekly range next week like this. That's what I'd be looking for. And that 30-minute is curling up like right now. So I think it is the most likely move. I think if I take that, I want to be clear about what I'm saying here. If I completely take out the fact that the dollar's bottoming and some people look like they could be trapped to the upside, then I'm going to say, then if I just ignore all that, I could say, hey, what are the momentum indicators telling me here? They're saying I'm turning up on the 30-minute. That's great. If that goes a little bit higher, what happens? The 2-hour can turn up. So if you start to get above this level, that 2-hour turns up. Then you would say, okay, 2-hour move, what happens? Well, we could see that extend to a weekly expected move, and then maybe we get a reversal signal from there. And then if we're able to turn that back around, well, then you got yourself a head and shoulders, and a very, very big one at that. Market making, yeah, they usually have the inside info, and I think that's why everyone getting trapped at the call side, the dollar really popping off is, I really want to be, it just means like my risk of taking the upside, I got to see the dollar subside and stuff like that before, because they could really rug pull any day with where that dollar is sitting. Dow starting to extend a little bit to the upside here, crossing up on the 30-minute saying, hey, I have an upside move. Look how juicy I look. If it makes another divergence point, that's still going to be a little bit rough there for the Dow. We got 10 minutes left in the overall market. We see the SPY curling up, going up towards that daily expected move. Let's look at that 2-hour, see if that's able to curl up by the end of the day. Looks like the Qs are gunning up for that move and crossing up with that small signal. So right now, if you take the indicators, or hold on one sec, dog's barking. Right now, if I take away what the dollar is doing, what the PCC is, if I take that away, then the 2-hour curling up means the Qs could see an upside move. That's what this means, right? And how high could it go? Well, from this level, if we just close up towards this area, then you're going to get a new daily expected move, probably somewhere around that 485.50. I'm about to throw my house at GME. Big week next week. I think GME's got it, to be totally honest. I think GME's got it. It has all the signals you need. This is all the signals you need. I think GME's got it. It has a very high probable move going into next week. Just know the game you're playing, guys. Just you gotta know the game you're playing. This is actively fought against by, pretty much everyone else except retail. So just know that you're playing that game and know these signals can go away very quickly, but this is everything you want to see. This is everything you want to see from GameStop right now to make a big upward move, to be genuine here. The only thing I would say you more want to see is this be really close to the center line. That way next week when you do pop up, you're just so obviously positive. GME earnings will be September 10th, though. They're going to be elongated out. But if they keep releasing these little bits of info, I think that'd be great. I don't know, though. I might be sneezing next week. GameStop might be sneezing. Sorry. Ryan Cohen might be sneezing next week. Now, the only bummer is AMC not showing those same signals. I'd really like to see both at the same time. The other guy we're trading with now just made 29K on the SPY rip up. That's fantastic. Congratulations. Yeah, so maybe you hear me say things like this. What I like to do is I'll look for a daily signal that's about to confirm, like a daily divergence, like maybe here on GameStop, and then I'll look for the best price before this actually curls up. So then I'll look into a 2 hour, then I'll look into this, then I'll look into this. So an example of this is like, oh, I want a 2 hour trade for Google maybe, right? I want a 2 hour swing to the upside. But how could I help myself get a better position in here before that 2? You notice it hasn't curled up. So how could I find a high probability that the 2 hour is going to curl up? Well, that is from my back testing and research when you have a 30-minute divergence and that curls up. So this has a 30-minute divergence. So I would actually take a 2 hour swing trade based on a 30-minute divergence first. I could then manage this throughout. And then when that actually does confirm up on a 2 hour, then I'm just taking a swing trade. Does that make sense? So I'm looking for a daily play, but I'm going to look in the shorter time frames for signals that make that daily play probable before it even happens, right? And then I'll even go deeper sometimes, and I'm like, okay, I'm looking at this daily play that has a 2 hour divergence behind it. Does it have a 30-minute divergence behind that? Can I get the best price point possible for this? And that's just sometimes I'm doing that. So in very questionable markets, you'll see me do that a lot. But I don't do 15 minutes very often. You see a lot of triple, a lot of quadruple divergences on 15 minutes. Yeah, and I think, Sid, you're just looking for the loss of control. Once they lose control of GME, are they going to have money to fight AMC, or are they going to get margin called, right? So... Thoughts on the banking ETF here? Still a 2 hour curl up. Looks like you might be doing some cupping, some handling, right? We saw these tops up in here. We talked about the rejections. That led to a big downturn. Now you're kind of meeting those levels. So watch out for a 2 hour divergence. But you could say this is cup and handle, and there still could be an extended move, right? That daily's not close to crossing yet. It's got some room to go make a higher up divergence on the daily scale. Okay, let's switch back over to the Qs real quick. Sorry. Toby just, my old man keeps barking. All right, let's see. We got 3.5 minutes left. Looking pretty simple though. If we end up higher, it goes, hey, we crossed up on a 2 hour and we actually ended up going higher. Awesome. And then if it's going to be a little different, then you would say, okay, if something different happens, like we just crashed down on Tuesday, well, then you would say the dollar is the reason for that. The dollar told us that little hint and people were overall trapped to the upside. So well, I think what you're seeing here is overall, like you said, consolidation. Now, what happens with consolidation a lot of the time? Well, sometimes you consolidate, you see a pop, and then that drops off, right? The first move isn't the right one. And I think we're in a scenario where that can happen. SPY hits all-time high on a Friday, and then the next day it just all crashes down. That would be interesting. My poll made it onto CNBC. You just got out of everything, Diana? Hey, I think being out, it makes sense with the dollar, right? If you're out of everything, that means you're mostly in cash, and I think that makes sense. Cash is overall going up in value. The dollar is going up in value right now. Looks like even though we're seeing some upside here, volatility calls are seeing some buying still. A lot of people were buying volatility calls in the last couple days, by the way. CNBC is talking about a crash. Well, they're going to talk about a crash, then it goes up, and then they go, oh no, it's not going to be a crash, and then it be a crash, right? The media gets it wrong almost like every time. The media will only tell you when you're crashing, not when the actual crash will be. Dow still looking at the 30-minute signal. Let's make new highs on everything so everyone talks all godly about it all weekend, and then we have one more day of upside, and then uh-oh, bad things happen. We'll see. We got 1 minute. Let's see if anything crazy happens with this 1 minute. If we unconfirm this or something, that's what I want to see. But you have momentum shifting to the upside as of right now. A very small green bar, but it is there. QQQ. My buddy's had a ponytail for like 2 years now. He finally cut it. 50-50 like this market. Yeah, let's go close down that pool real quick. Looks like it is 50-50. Okay, looks like we have a percentage of 50-50 straight across. So it looks like we can't make up our minds. As of right now, I would say edge to the bulls just based on these signals. Edge to the bears if they're paying attention to the dollar. I think the ending thing with this is, you know, the dollar turning up, that can still take place for a while, right? That could back off on Monday. We could break out of this zone, dip back down into it, and then curl up with some structure. So we'll see what happens with this going forward. But we're going to go over a lot of this stuff on tomorrow in tomorrow's video. So let's pay attention to that, okay? And as of right now, you do have rigged behavior, being that people are very much so towards the call side, and it looks like there is insider selling. That can continue, so we'll talk about that on Saturday. But for now, looks like a lot of things saying, hey, I'm going to curl up higher. Hey, the SPY has not confirmed that yet, and actually did go right up to that daily expected move at the end of the day. So we'll pay attention to things. We'll look into things over the weekend and see what's happening going forward, see if there's any kind of setup, see if there's any kind of macro behavior to really pay attention to. I can tell you right now, there seems to be a lot. So I highly encourage you to, yes, have fun with your family, but make sure to set aside some time to go over some charts with me on Saturday with that video in the morning, okay? Because I'm going to try to put a bunch of effort into it so that it's very good, very explanatory, and you can see these signals very clearly. Other than that, if you do want to learn a little bit over the weekend, like I said, that sale is coming to an end in just a few days. So it will not be going back down to this price point. This is going to be one of your last opportunities to get it. I'm going to leave that up until Monday morning so you can ask questions about it during a live show if you'd like. right? So I really think it's important when people are being told to take a course to be able to answer those questions before you buy, and that's why I like to leave it for the live video on Monday when it's on a weekend and ending. But other than that, guys, I really hope you do have a great weekend. Spend some time with family, treat yourself to a nice meal, do all the things that you need to do to be reloaded and ready for next week, because next week is September 6th. We get September 6th next week, and that's going to be a freaking huge deal. We get unemployment and non-farm payrolls. That is exactly what the Fed is paying attention to. That can cause an uproar and cause some great price action to the upside, but it might also cause them to have to raise those rates a little quicker and cause some kind of crash. So we'll be paying attention to those things. We'll see how things are shaping up and hopefully help you out in learning how to trade some of these things over the next few weeks. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate it. I hope you guys have a great weekend, and peace out.